So I guess there's no way to do it than to just do it. So we're doing a different formatting. So if you see me adjusting a lot, that's just the back end process of being an entrepreneur that also live streams. That's also a YouTube influencer. That's also an Instagram influencer and a TikTok influencer. So all the things, you know. But by the way, I will still introduce myself because I understand that not everybody who gets on here does not know me worldwide. So I am Kese, and I am running this podcast, but I'm also in charge of a beautifully made business from the Lord that He gave me as well, and I'm super excited about the business He gave me. And it's called Faith-Filled Coaching, and we are all about giving wisdom and advice to women so that they can feel qualified in their purpose again, so that they can no longer have excuses, trauma, issues, anything that holds them back from doing it. And I really have a special love for leaders and entrepreneurs and business types and women who have big ideas but have no idea how to tackle any of it, you know, or they just don't feel qualified. And it kind of takes me to the message that I have today. CEO, are you serious and why? And are you serious about this and why is really about really the end. You know, like what do you want to leave as your legacy? What expansion do you have? And it's interesting because I was even prompted having this question, right? Because my mentor, the CEO of amazing company that is going to be so amazing, Audrey Harris, has asked me this question. And my apostle, of course, and he asked me this question. He said, "Why? What do you expect to get from this?" He was asking about something completely different. And this whole week, I've been wondering that myself. What do I expect from what I'm doing? What do I expect from my business? What do I expect from my life? What do I expect from my ministry? What do I expect from the things that I do, the services I do as an employee, as an entrepreneur? What do I want to leave behind? Who do I want to influence? And it prompted me to want to create a book club around the book that I wrote, To the Woman I Love, You Are Enough. And we are kind of talking about breaking away from imposter syndrome and condemnation as well. So kind of spiritual slash, responsible. But I really do feel the strong weight of the Lord on the question, what do you expect to get from this? What is it unto? And I love that he asked that question because it just shows the expertise in his leadership and how he can drive things forward. And last podcast, I did say leadership increases your effectiveness 300%. So if you want to make any area effective, just add leadership to it, and it'll change everything. Because leaders see from a different place. They see things from a different perspective, okay? Just in case you're like, what does she mean by different place? I mean different perspective. I mean different mindset, because when you know why you're doing what you're doing, it drives it home. It drives the whole idea from an idea to a plan to an actual, object that you can hold. It makes it come to life, rather, right? You had an idea for a business. Now it has a name. Now it's a DBA. Now it's an LLC, right? Now it's all these things. And you never, you had an idea form. Right now you pitch it to people. You tell people you want to do this for them. Your business has a service. Now all of a sudden it comes to life because you got a customer. You're helping the customer with what you do. That brought it to life. That interaction right there makes it alive, right? And the only way to bring it to life is why. Why do we do this? Why are we getting up every day? You ever ask yourself, why did I wake up this specific day? Why today? Why did I wake up this moment? And why did I decide to move forward with my life? Why did I decide that this is the moment that I'm going to serve God and run after Him and run after the glory? Why did you cut on that glory tape? Why did you decide to go to service twice a week? Why did you do all of those things? Why did you say yes to God? Right? And why did you commit to Him? And what you know from that question changes everything. See, I can't answer that for you, but you can answer it for yourself, most likely. But I can't answer it for you. You only know what your why is. Only you know what your why is. Only you know what you're going to do with your life. And I wasn't trying to divert from the camera. You have to understand there's two lights staring at me, and it's hard to stare at lights, but it's all good. Why is the most important question when it comes to starting a corporation, starting a business, a DBA, like I said, an LLC, starting a trademark, starting anything at all. Why is super duper important? Because you need to know what you're going to leave behind. Now, why can lead you to what you desire as well. And then what you desire to do that. Just start doing it. Just start doing it. In the smallest ways that you can and in the biggest ways that you can. So that doesn't alleviate responsibility from doing all that you can do, okay? It doesn't. When I say small, I don't mean small action. I just mean do what you can with what you have. Be resourceful, right? Like, be resourceful. And I'm saying this to myself as I'm saying it to you out there. You know, if you're a business owner, if you have a person with a big idea, you could be a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Like, you have a purpose in this life. Why are you here? And if you're in search for that from God, then you're in the right place. It's faithful coaching. Yeah. You're in the right place. We love God here. You know, we ask God things here. And I will definitely share more about my prophetic journey and how I came to this point of leading a business, right? And it's super crucial because it's so funny because most times I have literally seen myself as a CEO in many times. And I never saw it as CEO or business or anything like that. I just did it to help others. And I just wanted to shine a light and inspire and motivate. And I still do that, just through coaching and ministry and the prophetic, obviously, right? It's inspiration from God, you know. You have got to know, right? It's what starts your day. And the people should definitely be a part of that why. If you're not helping someone, you're eventually going to feel aimless and some kind of conviction is going to come upon you because you've just been all about yourself. Being all about yourself is never going to solve anything at all. It's a lonely life, and it is a life that does not lead to anything good. You got to do something that will benefit someone else. You can't just be here for yourself. You know, there's time when you can just lay back, relax. It's okay to sleep. It's okay to drink water. It's okay to eat if you need to. It's okay to have fun with your spouse. If you're married, it's okay to hang out with your friends and have some downtime, but do not lose sight of your purpose. Don't do that. Don't get to a place where all you do is have fun. All you do is hang out with your friends. All you do is hang out with your spouse. You don't have anything for your purpose. No room for it. It's just all about fun. There's nothing fun about that. Because people get bored of drinking. Believe it or not, they do. They're just addicted to it, so they keep going. People get bored of drinking. People get bored of messing around, and you know what I mean. I'm not going to define that. People get bored of gossiping. People get bored of negativity. People get bored of cussing at people and cussing people out and all the fights, all the things. People get bored of all those things because they don't fruit anything. But when you're addicted to something, it's hard to break out of it so easily. Even though you know cognitively this is wrong, right? But you won't break out of it because you feel so attached to it. You got to detach all emotion from it and cut it out of your life, right? And that's why I say, are you serious about it? Because your lifestyle has to connect to what you want to do with your life. And that why question should be written down somewhere. And that purpose and that vision you have for it and that mission you have for it should be written down somewhere. If it's not written down somewhere, it doesn't even matter to you. it's gotta matter to you. You know, um, what's written on my heart is the time I gave my life to Jesus. And I'll tell you a brief moment, and I want to get a little bit serious in this podcast today. I said at the end, I've been thinking about the end, and I've been thinking about what will happen, what will I leave behind when I die? What will I have to give? What will I have to be proud of that I did for God when I died? And I was talking to someone today, a chance encounter with someone again, and the Lord led me to see this person who was talking about poetry, reminding me again of my poetry days. And he was just trying to encourage someone, tell them, hey, we're doing an event for the orphans, and it was so amazing. So I talked to him about what I do, and he had an event, couldn't go to it because I'll be out of town. And I realized that me and him had so much in common. And him, and the other girl I was talking to, and I won't disclose their names because they don't know I have this podcast, so I'm not going to just share their information everywhere. And we actually have an appointment tomorrow now, so that's awesome. Now, talking to him, I realized something. He was like, what's your end goal, though? Like, with the Lord, like, what's your end goal? And I kept thinking to myself, like, one, that's not really all the way up to me, right? Because I'm not when it comes to me and God, it's not about the end for me. My life, my relationship with God, that is eternal. It doesn't end, right? It never ends for me. So when he asked the question, I was like, hey, thinking to myself, it never ends. It never ends. And the goal, right, is to serve him in his glory, to serve him to the end, to hear good and faithful servant at the end, right? And I didn't get that for myself. I didn't just randomly come to that realization, right? I went to church many times and heard that message of give your life to Christ and surrender. And not just in church. Don't just give your life to Christ in church and serve in church. Do what he tells you to do daily. Do what he tells you to do moment by moment, right? Live by the Spirit of God. That's what the message was. And it was about a laid down life. And it does sound serious because it is serious. For those who want it, it's beautiful. It's glorious. It's amazing for those who want it. For those who truly want a laid down life with God, it is an amazing life. It is an adventurous life. I will say I have more stories to tell in the past 10 years of my life than I ever had in the beginning 21 years of my life. Those 21 years were not as eventful as those last 10 years of my life. And I thank God of all of heaven for that. Because there are parts of the journey that I'd like to forget. And there are parts of the journey that I'm like, I'm so glad I went through that because it taught me something about character and integrity. And as I was walking up to prepare for the podcast, and I was thinking about it, I was thinking to myself, man, it's about the integrity of the heart of what you said you would give to anyone in this life. You said you would be here, be here. You said that you would show up, show up. You said that you would be available, be available. If you're not available, how can anyone trust you? How can anyone particularly choose you for something if you're not there to be chosen? Right? If you have a service, offer it. Otherwise, no one will be able to pay for it. Right? We have to understand what the core that's missing in our life. And I'm talking to the people that are like, man, something is missing. Because they understand why I'm thinking about the end. Because my employer does not determine my bank account. They don't. They don't determine how much I make. They don't. The side gigs I've done doesn't determine how much I make. The maker of all heaven and earth decides that. And the choices that he influences me to make decides that too. So if I don't show up to all these different things, he will make a way for me to be provided another way. So I'm thinking about the end because it's crucial to know where you're going as a business, as a person, as a church. You got to have a vision. And if that vision is not being manifested, you got to understand why. What is missing? What needs to go? Where's my dead weight at? This is probably the most serious conversation we're going to have because you're going through life and you're going through the motions. And like I said, I'm talking to myself too. Stop going through the motions. Get serious about what you're doing. If that means wake up at 4 a.m., do it. I beg of you, please try it. Do it. I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to do it. Whatever I haven't taken seriously in my business, I'm going to take it seriously this week. Even though I'm traveling this week, I'm still going to do it. You're still going to see me in Houston as I travel. It doesn't matter. I may not have the same lighting. I may have to use my phone. But you know what? I'm going to still post on my podcast. I'm going to still show up at the video podcast. And I'm going to still be here for you guys. Because nothing takes away from what I promised I would do. And the end goal, right? And the vision. And I'm going to tell you. And you're going to be like, wow, that sounds kind of like, wow, you're really bonded to that vision. And you're going to find out why. Because I gave my life to the one who saved my soul, to Jesus. And you're going to hear that here on this podcast, that I did that because I knew that it was important to him. It was so important to him for me to say yes. He influenced me for 21 years to say yes to him. I myself say yes. Not because of anyone, but because I was given yet another chance to say yes or no to him. And I have this chance. And I said yes. And I didn't realize saying yes to that was me saying yes to every single other thing that he was going to ask me. And it has been a wonderful ride. And it has kept me out of trouble. And it's kept me from being pregnant at a young age. It has kept me in line in my mind. It has cleansed me from depression, from self-hatred, so many things. And kept me from being an aimless wanderer on the earth. It has kept me from being an aimless wanderer on the earth. And I feel like that was the most amazing thing he did for me, is keep me from thinking I'm just wandering around this earth and I have no purpose. And there's so many people that feel like that. And I promised you something. I promised you that we would define something business-wise on this. So I'm going to go ahead while we're talking about all of this, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a business term today. So I want y'all to think about what it said. While you just let that germinate inside of you. So I found the term business prospectus. So it's business perspective. And I want to go ahead and tell you what it means. A prospectus is a formal document required and filed by the Securities and Exchange. They're giving, okay. Yeah, so it's a preliminary printed statement that describes an enterprise, such as a business or publication, that is distributed to prospective buyers. I think that's a good one. This is from Merriam-Webster. Okay, And then this is distributed. This printed statement is distributed to prospective buyers, investors, or participants. Something such as a statement of situation that forecasts the course or nature of something. And this is what just popped into my head as we were talking about the end and the why, right? So this printed statement is not just a printed statement. You're potentially speaking to people who have a business, who have an interest in your field of expertise. You're presenting it to them for what? For them to buy either a product or for them to invest in it if they want to have a percentage of the business or participate as a customer, right? You're presenting this document. Everyone can read this document. Everyone can see it. They know what you're about. They know what you do in this printed statement. So it's your purpose, the purpose of the business. It is what it is founded, what the business was founded upon, what caused it to be what it is today. Why anyone who's a customer should buy it from you, right? And why anyone should invest in it, and why someone should potentially buy the entire model from you and use it for themselves. Why? So you're presenting this printed statement to people who would be of interest, right? And the reason why I'm talking about this now is because we're still talking about CEOs, okay? We're still talking about that. And the reason why I said why. If you don't know why, you won't be able to fill out a business prospectus. You won't be able to say this goes here, and that goes here, and that goes here in society because of what your business does. Is your business going to fix society as a whole? And how? That's why we need to know why. What are you going to do to better the human experience? We want to know. What does your business offer the world? Because that's basically all the people you're presenting it to. So you're not just finding out your purpose for no reason. Someone is going to come ask you, why are you here? Right? And it makes me laugh because I think about this statement. And I don't know if you've seen Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And I wish I could give you a preface, but we just do not. We do not have the time, okay? We don't. Yeah, we don't have the time. I think we have the time. I think I might be over time, actually, to be honest. However, in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, I'll tell you a quick synopsis. She was kicked out of her house. She was married to a man for, I think, 8 to 10 years. He kicks her out and marries another, and decides to marry another woman or take in another woman to replace his current wife, because he technically didn't divorce her yet when he kicked her out. They were still married. He kicked her out. All her clothes were in a U-Haul before she arrived at her home. And he dragged her out of the house because she refused to leave. And she was wearing the clothes of his mistress at the time when this happened, because she thought they were his, because all these new clothes were shown in a closet, but they were for his mistress. And she found out that they had kids, that the mistress had kids for her husband. And all this happened to her. That's pretty much the synopsis of the movie. Everything kind of leads from that point. So you can imagine how angry she is. She's going home. She's going to nowhere in a U-Haul. So the reason why I'm bringing it up, I have a point. There's a point when the man who dragged her out of that house, her husband, gets shot, right? And they have a chance to save his life or let him die, because when he wakes up, there's no guarantee that he will be able to walk again. So his current mistress, right, was at the hospital, and then they called by default, the ex-wife, right? Because at this point, they are pretty much still in divorce proceedings, but they're not divorced yet. And she told the doctors, please do whatever you can for him. And the mistress says, what kind of life will he have if he can't walk? What kind of life would that be, right? And she said, Did you not hear the ex-wife said, did you not hear possibility that he could pull through this? And the mistress says, why are you here? And she gets so angry at the mistress because, and she screams, and this is what I want to scream to you. Why are you here? Why are you here? And she almost punches the mistress, but we are going to cut away from that for a minute, okay? And the reason why I talked about her saying, why are you here? Because that was a really good question in that situation. Why would you try to save him after all that he did to you, right? And she asked, what? You know? And because it was so wired in her to do the right thing, even by a man that did her wrong, because of all the years she spent with him, she knew that this is not what he would have wanted. The mistress was ready to just take out the plug on his life, not even really knowing him like she did. Because what she was really saying to the ex-wife is, why are you fighting for him? He's not yours anymore. You should just let him die like I was going to. Why does this matter to you? Why are you included in this conversation? And that's what you've got to ask yourself. Why are you included in this life? Why do you have a reason to exist? Why do you have a reason to keep on breathing? Did God call you to do what you're doing? Did God send you to do what you're doing? Is that why you do the right thing? You try to live right? You try to do right by others? You try to serve everybody? Or do you know why you're here? And are you fulfilling that purpose with every iota of your body? And like I said, guys, I can say the same thing to myself, because there are some days that I'm like, man, you could do more, and can say, you really could. And I pray and I repent to God, and I'm back on track. I get up again, and I go back to fighting, and I go back to trying, and I don't give up. I don't give up. Even when I think I have, I'm like, no, you haven't given up. You're still here. Let's go. Let's fight. Let's jump into this. I made a commitment. So I'm thinking about that, because that is what should drive you to become successful in the business, for the business to have a net worth, for you to have worth, right? This should drive you to lose weight if you want to lose weight. It should drive you to eat right if you want to eat right. It should drive you to serve in your local church, to minister and win as many souls as possible. Serve with all of your heart. If that is why you're here, then do it. Do not let any iota of an amount of money someone made on Facebook or Instagram intimidate you at all, or keep you in fear of stepping out, because they had a struggle in their own lives too. You just don't see it on their face, and they're not showing it to you. So don't let that disrupt your purpose, because nowhere in what I'm saying does money even get picked. Does money even come up? It doesn't, because what I'm doing today is giving what you do meaning, more than a paycheck, more than a house, more than a car that you can buy with the money you make. But who are you impacting, and why are you impacting them this way? You can literally look at the impact you want to make and deliberately make one every single day. And I hope you do it. And I say this with all of my heart, because it's one of the scriptures that encourage me the most. When Paul says, as a prisoner of Christ, I beseech you, brothers, to live a life worthy of the calling you receive. Because his calling got him into prison. And he didn't do anything wrong. He was just preaching Christ. But in some countries, that is not legal. So he said, I'm coming to this country and I'm going to preach Christ, even if it means death. So he had every right to ask his followers to live a life worthy of the calling he received, because he's living a life worthy of the calling he received, because he's willing to die for it. I know people that have moved 15 people for their call, financially moved them for their calling. They raise money for their calling, 16,000. Because they believe in what they do that much. And you know what? It's not going to be printed on a newspaper. You know why? Because it was for God. It was ministry. And the person didn't do it for it to be printed on a newspaper. They did it because it meant something to them. They did it because it mattered enough to them to do that. And they didn't need it to be publicized to anybody. Just the people that needed to know and got to know it. And I'm grateful to know someone who could do that. To have the Bible. It's better that that person tell that story. I don't want to tell it. It's not my place. Lovely to see you guys. Yeah, so we're just going to move on. So anyway, as I was saying, that, I'm so grateful that I know somebody that would do that for their purpose and take it so seriously that they would be willing to do certain things to make it happen. And I realize that we have to do whatever it takes to make it happen, to use every iota of our being to get it done, whatever our purpose is. So isn't it equally important to seek it out if you don't know it, right? If you're walking around, like I said, God set me free from being an aimless wanderer. I'm not a person today that can tell you that I don't know my calling. I can't tell you that. I would be lying out of my mouth if I said that, because I hear God every day, and He'll give me big passages to share with me, or sometimes it's short and it's straight to the point. What He needs me to do, continuation of yesterday sometimes, or whatever it is. You got to know what it is. Otherwise, you will not have a true business perspective to give buyers, investors, and participants in your business, because they will not feel the heartbeat of your business. They will not feel the real, true crux of why you exist and why they should invest in you and why they should do this, right? Because we're asking a lot from people when we don't have a plan, right? When you don't have a plan, you don't have a purpose, you don't have a structure to what you do, you're asking a lot for somebody to just believe and trust in you as a person, trust your word. They don't know you. Why should they trust you? That's why we have to work on ourselves internally, outside of the business. We need to make sure that we are a person of integrity and character to build the business from the ground up and keep it going. And that's why I went into the deeps and talked about knowing someone who's willing to sacrifice it all so that they can get done what they needed to do for the Lord. And I said that it wouldn't be a newspaper because they didn't want it to be in the newspaper. They didn't need it to be a newspaper. They didn't do it to be famous. They did it to get something done. It was the thing that they let go of, right? The money they let go of that they were able to use for the kingdom of God, right? And that's the whole point of being in something you love and knowing your purpose. You're willing to, all your resources are available for it, basically. There's no limit to what you will do. There's nothing God can't ask of you in it, and there's nothing that you can't give to it to make it move forward. If my business went bankrupt today, if I didn't have the finances to hold on to this page, to hold on to my website, to hold on to anything at all, I would have to find the resources to reopen. I would. Even if it wasn't making money that month, I would still keep the website open. I would still keep the profile open. I'd keep posting videos, all the things. Because I am inspiring people People are watching me. People are looking for this encouragement. If I just shut down abruptly because I feel I should be doing something else, not God saying it, me, or because of insecurity or doubt or whatever, those people lose out on what I have. And that's not fair. That is not fair to them. So do whatever you have to do to make this happen. Scrap together whatever funds you have to make it happen, because you will be rewarded with integrity, because you kept your word. And keeping your word is going to help people trust you in the long run anyway. And you know that. Inside we know that. That's why we trust the doctor with our body, because they went to school to know what to do with it. They know more about our body than we even do. That's why we go to them. Okay, what's wrong with my body? Because you know. Because you know. That's why I'm asking you. You were trained to know. And if we feel like you're not competent, we're going to go to someone else. We won't even think about it. We will not make any bones about it. So why wouldn't someone do the same thing with you and your business, right? In your life, in your relationship, whatever it is that matters to you, that you hold dear. Treat it like it's precious what you have. You will not live forever. I know sometimes as humans we think that, but we won't. You have this time to manifest something specific. Find out what that is and do it with all of your might. This whole week has been leading up to me saying this, so I guess I'm just going to say it to you guys first. Live a life worthy of the calling you received, is what I say. And never let go of your purpose. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.